Okay, so get yourself ready for your restorative practice. So sometimes we do restorative practice just because we've had a tiring day. Other times we do it because we've got a kind of a niggly injury. So whatever the reason, the aim is to just spend an hour in relaxation mode. So have everything that you need to make yourself feel comfortable and warm. So have a bolster underneath your knees, a couple of blocks underneath your feet, and then a folded blanket for underneath your head. If you're wearing glasses, take them off so you can let your face relax and just cover yourself up for warmth, unless your room's really warm already, in which case you might not need it. So I always love the first moment or two of this practice where you lay down for the first time all day, and it's just that deeply pleasant feeling of releasing into the floor. So just allow yourself to yield to gravity. If you're not comfortable, then adjust your position until you are comfortable. So adjust the blocks underneath your feet if your feet aren't feeling supported. Move the bolster underneath the knees if it doesn't feel like they're in the right place. Allow yourself to release into the floor. Spend a moment just addressing how the body connects to the ground. Release the legs into the bolster and the blocks. Release the upper body into the floor. Soften around the neck and the throat. Draw your attention into the soles of your feet. Just feeling that the soles of your feet tingle with awareness. Draw your consciousness into the soles of your feet and consciously relax the underside of the foot. Relax the underside of the foot, letting go of any tension. Draw your attention to the tops of your feet. Again, so that the skin and the muscles and the flesh and the bones tingle with consciousness. And then consciously relax the top of the foot. Draw your consciousness into the shins. And then allow your shins to sink into the calf muscle. Allow the fronts of the shins to sink into the backs of the shins. And soften the kneecaps. Draw your consciousness into the fronts of the thighs, allowing the fronts of the thighs to soften into the backs of the thighs. Draw the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs, letting the legs completely relax into the bolster, into the floor. Allow the fronts of the thighs to sink into the backs of the thighs, the fronts of the shins to sink into the backs of the legs, and the feet to completely relax. Allow the legs to completely relax into the floor. And then allow the hips to relax. Allow the abdomen to sink into the back of the torso and soften the muscles around the lungs and the rib cage. Relax the abdomen, relax the muscles around the chest, allowing the torso to completely relax. Soften around the rib cage and consciously soften in the shoulders. Soften the shoulders and the upper arms. Soften the forearms and the backs of the hands on the table, on the floor. Just allowing the body to completely release into the floor. Feeling the lightness of energy you've created through the relaxation so far. Just letting go of the arms and the hands, just letting the arms rest on the floor. Letting the arms relax into the floor, letting the chest and the legs relax into the floor. Draw your consciousness to your throat and soften the throat. relax the shoulders and the neck, and soften the skin around the forehead and around the face, releasing in the inner ear, allowing the body to become completely relaxed. Soften the neck and the muscles around the face and the head. Just allow the body to just completely release into the floor. Just basking in that feeling of energetic lightness that comes from our basic relaxation pose. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, bring your feet onto the bolster. With the feet apart and the knees together, just resting your back into the floor for a moment. And then roll onto your right side. And then push yourself up into a seated position. Just hold onto your knees, just listen to the breath. Just observe how your energy has changed. Just in that short period of relaxation, how it just transforms your energy. Okay, just move the blocks out of the way for your feet, and then keep the bolster for your knees. And then we're going to do our mountain brook pose. So get your folded blanket and just unfold it so it goes from kind of that kind of pillow shape to a larger shape like that. And then you're going to fold it down the middle, down the center, just so that it's a long kind of fat bolster for your shoulder blades. And then you're just going to have the bolster underneath your knees and then come down. So the shoulder blades are supported by the blanket. Your head comes onto the floor. You can always put something under your head if it feels like it rolls back. And then just rest your arms on the floor over your head. Now, if this is too strong for your shoulders, then you can just have a block for your hands, or even if you might need something for your elbows as well. So just find whatever you need to allow the pose to become comfortable. So again, just covering yourself over. Have the folded blanket in the shoulder blade region, your head on the floor, and then just let your arms rest down onto the floor over your head. So remember, comfort is the priority. So if for any reason the pose isn't comfortable, then use whatever you need to make it comfortable. So as you know, as we progress into our practice, I'll speak less and less so that you can just relax rather than feeling that you need to listen. Just maintaining the same level of relaxation in the legs and the chest and the arms and the head. And then when you're ready, just bring your arms just to rest on your, just bring your hands to rest on your lower ribs for a moment. And then bend your knees and just gently roll yourself off the lift and the bolster, and then come back into cross legs, just in cross legs again, holding your knees, just observing the open energy around the chest and around the shoulders. So we can do our side lying stretch, and this is again a really good pose for stiff shoulders. I prefer to use my oblong bolster for this one. It's a bit flatter, not quite as, I mean, although this is a fairly kind of, yeah, that kind of flattens out nicely, but this feels good for me. So if you've got one, then use your oblong bolster. Otherwise, just use your normal bolster. If you haven't got a bolster, you can just use cushions. Have a block just to rest your head, and then you just sit with your legs bent like this, and then you stretch yourself over. Bring your shoulder down onto the floor. Have your arm on the floor, your floor arm on the floor. Have the bolster, the block underneath your head, and then you just stretch your arm, your top arm over your ear. If that feels tricky for your shoulder, then you can put a block underneath another block underneath your hand of the lifted arm, either that or just use the floor. So just supporting the body with extra lifts if you need that, if you need one under your arm, and then just relax. Try and breathe evenly into both lungs. So that's a bit of a challenge to a degree because of the bolster underneath the armpit chest, but aim as much as you can for even breathing. So a nice long stay on both sides just helps to release tension in the shoulders at first, perhaps. If you're suffering from shoulder pain or shoulder discomfort, the body can feel a little resistant to it, but after staying in the pose for a little while, you start to release into the pose. So bring the top hand back onto the top hip and then push yourself up into a seated position, just cross legs. Holding onto your knees, just observing how your energy feels, how your shoulders feel. And then we'll do the other side. So just sit on the other hip with the knees bent, and then just stretch the other side along the bolster so that the bolster is in the armpit chest. The arm that's on the floor is just in a little right angle shape. Rest your head on the block and then stretch your arm over your ear, your upper arm over your ear. And then relax into the pose. Okay, bring that top arm back to rest on the hip. Push your bottom elbow into the floor and then just come up into, just cross legs. Again, just observing your energy and the space around the shoulders and around the neck and around the chest. So we're going to do a supported bridge pose. So get your blanket and just unfold it from, if it's like your kind of pillow blanket, it would be like that. So unfold it and then make a little Swiss roll and just have a little kind of quite bulky roll for your head. And then you're just going to come down onto the floor with that roll underneath your neck. So at this stage you can just see, well, that doesn't feel right, so you can just make it a bit bigger or a bit smaller. Once it feels like it's right, then you lift the seat bones, you slide the bolster underneath your kind of the middle of your back and the bottom of your back. Keep your feet on the floor and just cover yourself over, and then you can either just keep your arms out like this over your head, or you can bring them out to the sides, wherever it feels most comfortable. So once you're there, maybe you might need to adjust it, maybe make the little roll a little bigger or smaller. Just find your comfortable position and then release into the floor. If you find that your chest sinks, just lift up, just move the bolster underneath your back a little higher, just to keep the chest lifted. This is just a supported inversion, but with a bit of extra neck support. Okay, just bring your feet a little closer to the bolster, just lift the back and just slide the bolster away. Just have the bolster underneath your knees, and then if the roll from underneath your head feels uncomfortable, then just unroll the blanket, just rest with your blanket underneath your head, and we're just back in our basic relaxation pose, just the pose that we started off in. Just acknowledge how the body feels different. Perhaps your body feels full of energy where perhaps it wasn't before. Maybe you can feel that lightness of energy that just flows from the inside out, radiating from the bones and into the muscles and the organs and the flesh and the skin. Just that tingly consciousness of the lightness of your energy. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers. Just bring your feet back onto the bolster. Have the feet apart and your knees together for a moment. Just resting into the floor. And then very gently roll over onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Just come into cross legs with your hands in Namaste, a final spinal lift. Draw your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice. Good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the reclining poses bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to acknowledge positive energy you have created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And then as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you've really lifted your energy and given yourself some good positive energy to put into your evening. So thank you very much for joining me.